Hello, speakers and leaders. We're talking all about how to be a great moderator. And I have to tell you, after being a speaker for a while, I enjoy speaking, I enjoy training, but one of the very best things that I like to do is actually be a moderator, either if it's in person or virtually. I don't know why, it makes me feel more alive. It's actually quite different from just speaking itself. And today I have here with us today, Peter Hopwood. Now, Peter Hopwood is a global speaker coach, a TEDx coach, a virtual speaking specialist, an event MC, and a media skills trainer. How does one become a great moderator?
Well, listen, I can't really answer that in just a few sentences. I mean, there are loads of different factors that help somebody become a better moderator, somebody who can be really aware of the role they're doing. So first of all, if we kind of just define, what is a moderator, it's a very specific type of public speaking. You've got pitching, you've got speaking, a keynote speaker, you've got selling, let's say, and moderating is really all about keeping everything together, keeping an event going, keeping the audience informed, making sure they're comfortable, making sure that they're ready for what's to come. So that's really what a moderator does. At the end of the day, the event producers, the advisors that he or she's working with, they will define exactly, or they should define, if they don't, you need to ask, define exactly what they want the audience to walk away with. What are their objectives? What do they want their audience to feel after the event? And now, naturally, that can be obtained by the speakers and what they deliver, but ultimately the job of the moderator is really to kind of piece it all together, help the audience to make sense of what they're hearing, and by the end of the day, or the end of the event, however long it is, however short or long it is, to walk away feeling like they've got the value that they invested in the beginning.
Peter, can we, as you're talking about the job of a moderator, can we actually, let's think of someone, okay, maybe it's their first time moderating an event in person or virtually. Can we actually go through the mindset of a beginner moderator? What do they have to go through? What should they prepare? What should they expect? Let's say the event is 1 month out in February 2021-26. Okay. You just found out that you're going to be a moderator. Okay. Now what?
Now what? 2 words, 2 big words, a massive answer. So now what? So the very first thing is when you know you've got the job, when you know that it's going to be you, the man or the woman who's on that stage shaping that event, it's really important to really understand what that event is all about. What is the value of the whole event to the audience? What sector is it in? What do they really want to know? What do they already know as an audience? What's the flavor and what's the tone of the event? So for me, certainly it starts with if I don't already know, or I haven't worked with the event organizer before, it's really a question of asking those questions to really get a feel in terms of what the event really shares. Once you've identified that, once you know that, once you start to understand that, and do that again by asking the event organizer, they'll tell you as much as they can. Very simply, look at past events, look at the event online, look at the type of speakers that have spoken there before, find out from perhaps some of the attendees that have been there before. It's really simple. It's really quite easy. You just have to go on Google and you'll get everything come up on your screen. So it's the research element really plays a big role in the beginning to really get into the right frame of mind and the right tone as to what the audience are expecting or the audience wants. But ultimately, as I said earlier on, it's the event producer. It's the people that are putting together this event. It's their baby, and you have to help them achieve what they want. So at the beginning, it's all about research and all about getting the right feel and getting the right tone, hitting the right tone, so that when you're there, you can help help that event organizer hit their objectives.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, let's pretend some more, Peter. Let's say you're the moderator and I'm the event organizer. What kind, and we're having a conversation and you're kind of doing your research right now. What kind of questions would you ask me, the event organizer, to try to know it even more? Even though you know it already, what questions would you ask, or what would you try to figure out?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, simply the questions I would ask, and I probably know already the answers already, but I would ask them anyway. What kind of size are we looking at? How many people are you expecting? Tell me about the events in the past or last year's event. How did you feel about last year's event? Was it a success? Why was it a success? What are you going to do perhaps differently this year? The people that are actually in the audience, how are they? How much interaction do you want? Would you like the audience to have with what's actually happening on stage, offline, the event app? Is there going to be an event app? What's the kind of interaction there? So all these kind of like technical questions actually give you a good flavor as to what the kind of emotional flavor of the event's going to be. So once I've done that, then I talk a little bit more, asking them to tell me, tell me about the speakers. Who for you, why did you choose these specific speakers? Who in the industry stand out? Those people on the stage, tell me about them and let them tell you, because they can actually share with you some really cool nuggets of information that they didn't even feel perhaps was important, but for you as the moderator can really shape the event in the right way. There's so much you can do as a moderator just by, let's say, going on the website and seeing all the speakers in the bios and getting a feel there, the colors, the feel of the website, the flavor of the event. But again, it's really the event organizer, his or hers idea of how it's going to unfold, how it's going to play out. That's really what you want to achieve. And if you can do that, if you can get as close to that as possible, then you're on the right track.
So if I'm hearing you right, Peter, what you're saying to become a great moderator or become a moderator is you're trying to help the organizer, the event person, the organization help fulfill their dreams of what their dream event would feel like or look like.
That's exactly it. So here's the thing. So for example, the claps at the end of each of each speaker when they've finished, and the claps they get, and at the very end of the event, perhaps the event organizer will come on stage, or it will be my final word as the moderator. Those claps right at the end, they're not for me. They're not for me at all. They're actually not even for the speakers. They're really it's the appreciation of the audience, showing or letting that event organizer feel whether they've hit the right spot or not. So yes, it's all about making sure that the objective is the right objective, and you're moving towards that as well. Because remember, there are all different objectives. There are different types of events, all shapes and sizes, different budgets, different types of speakers, and also different types of moderators as well. So if we were to think of, if I was to ask you, or if we were to ask people watching now, what makes a great moderator, probably many would say something like somebody who's confident, somebody who's professional, somebody who's in control of their body, in control of their voice, maybe energetic, maybe bringing energy to the stage, but probably perhaps all those things. Again, it all depends on what the organizer wants. Sometimes the organizer just wants somebody who sounds good, looks good, and brings the energy to the stage, or getting the audience now and then to stand up, clap their hands, and do things like that. And that's fine if that's what the type of event needs, the type of event wants. But again, there are many other organizers that are looking for far more than just somebody who's confident on stage, far more than somebody who sounds good and looks professional. They're often looking for somebody who could, again, weave everything together, make sense of what the speakers are sharing, the messages they're sharing as well. And if it's a moderator that is not just somebody who's introducing speakers before they come on stage, but also somebody who is interacting with the speakers, perhaps a fireside chat, perhaps an interview, perhaps straight after the speaker has spoken, you come on stage, and it's a question of again bringing in the audience and bringing their questions to the stage for the speaker to answer. So again, many different shapes and sizes, but to start off with, definitely know what the event organizer wants will help you deliver your performance, let's say, the work you do, in the right way.
Okay, this is a great question, and thank you for answering that, Peter. And this goes with having time to prep. But what if, Leela is asking, what if this is impromptu and we don't really have time to prep or talk to the organizer, or maybe it's so hectic you can't even get in touch with the organizer? Let's say we have an hour, 30 minutes, or someone said, hey, okay, you come moderate this, take it over. I got somewhere I got to go.
Yeah, listen, that happens. In an ideal world, it shouldn't happen, but it certainly does. And again, if you don't have the time, really, you really need to put in the time if you can. But really, if you can't do that, and you haven't had a real chance to chat with the organizer, it only takes 2 minutes. It only takes 2 minutes. So when you get to the venue, the first thing you do, if they're free, okay, it's quite difficult to do that, certainly on the day of the event or the morning of the event, because everybody's rushed and everybody's got hundreds of things to think about. But if, again, asking that event organizer, bring them to the side and say, listen, at the end of this event, what is it that you really want the audience here to walk away with? What's the most important thing for you organizing this event? What do you want? Tell me. And then let them tell you. Let them start to share with you. And probably at that stage, they should really, an event organizer really should already have a pretty defined objective, pretty defined idea of really what they want. And probably in there, certainly, sponsors will come into that equation, because again, keeping them happy, keeping them pleased with what they've got, and also the exposure they need as well. Making sure that the speakers are happy, the speakers really are, because a good speaker, a happy speaker before the event, naturally will shine on stage. Small things, as you know, can really put us off before an event, before we start speaking. So it's often my job to really try to create that atmosphere, making sure everyone in the room is calm. It's got to be the moderator. If anyone in the room is keeping things together, it's got to be the moderator, which is really difficult. And we all know it as a speaker, we know that, and as somebody who's kind of shaping the whole thing together, keeping it all together, really working well as a team. Big difference between a speaker and a moderator. A moderator, it's a real teamwork, team effort, right? So yeah, going back to the answer that you've asked, it's all about, again, just 2 minutes and finding out how they feel and what they want the audience to feel when the event is all over.
Yeah,
and it only takes 2 minutes.
Yeah, it only takes 2 minutes. I love what you're saying. I think most moderators right now, they don't take enough time to even ask the organizer, what do you want out of this event? From what you're saying is, it's not about the moderator, it's about the event. And of course, it's about the audience at the end of the day. So, okay, Peter, let's say we've done all this research. Here's another thought for you. Maybe what can you do is, can you do a little comparison between what is not a bad moderator, but what is a good moderator versus someone who's not as such a pro as a moderator? So what do you think are the differences?
Yeah, I think first of all, you've touched on something there that I see, a lot in terms of events, maybe not so much now, but certainly before, when pre-COVID, visiting, seeing or shaping lots of stages globally. It's the role of the moderator. It's not about them at all. It's not about them. It's about them helping them share the value, getting them ready mentally for what's to come. So getting them ready for the next speaker, getting them maybe changing that mood, starting to change the mood for the next speaker to come on. Because if you've got a speaker that's, you know, full energy, really powerful messages, full on, but really effective, and then the next one who's coming along, the next speaker, again, different tone, a different feel, a different idea. So you've got to bridge that together. So certainly knowing that it's not about you, it's about your audience, what they want. As we all know, that's the number one thing, always about what our listeners feel and what they want to hear, or not, and the value they're going to take away as well. Another thing as well, I would say, is the idea of really speakers really managing to introduce them in the right way. Again, getting them ready mentally, getting the audience ready mentally to hear those messages. Now, again, speaking to the speakers beforehand, you can, you know, email them, but again, a lot of us don't really have the time. The speakers don't have time either. But again, a great thing you can do when at the event is, you know, when you've met the speaker in the speaker's room perhaps, or in the morning, just ask them. I always ask them this question. Okay, so can you just give me, like, in two sentences, what is the value you're about to share with the audience? What do you want them to take away when you've finished? Similar to the same question to the event organizer. And often good speakers will think a little bit, and then they'll tell me within, you know, two sentences, even one sentence, I want to give this, and this. They've said that to me. I then, with the kind of small bio I've kind of memorized, or I've written notes from the website perhaps, or from the event organizer, I then helps me shape even better how I'm gonna share that on stage, and how I'm going to make sure that the audience is ready. And a big mistake I often see with moderators who or anybody introducing a speaker, often moderators introduce the speaker in a way where they talk about the speaker. Now, the credibility of the speaker is really important, naturally, especially if they're working for a top tech company, for example, or, you know, what they've done in the past. Their credibility level is important, and that's good. However, right there at that moment, when an audience is sitting down, when they look at the stage, what do they want? They want, again, the value. So it's much more about what they're sharing than actually who they are. All right, so always remember that. It's more about what they share. It's more about the messages and the value they're sharing than actually who they are. So I often start with you know, a few sentences, pacing, getting the audience ready, thinking about a question or thinking about an answer to a question, and then explaining that, you know, the next gentleman on stage, he's going to help answer that question for you right now, and much more. And then a little bit of credibility of the speaker, and then bang, the very last thing I say is the name. So the company, or the title, the company, bang, the name, and then the speaker comes on stage. So you can kind of get a feel as to how I would introduce a speaker on stage, getting people ready mentally by telling them or showing them or helping them understand the value of what they're going to get from what he says. Because you get many, and we've seen them, you've seen them as well, many speakers who have, you know, good jobs, great titles, credibility very high, but when it comes to, you know, the nitty gritty of actually sharing that, you know, or sharing that, you know, 20-minute slot or 20-minute slot on stage, if they're not on point, if they're not sharing that message, a strong message, people to think differently, getting people to understand things maybe in a different way, getting them to take action, all the things we know as speakers we need to, then you know, there's no point being there. And unfortunately, in the speakers world, you know, there are many speakers who are, you know, good, not so good, and really bad. But you'd be surprised, there are so many speakers out there that actually get paid to do what they do, fly around the world, meet, you know, they stand on stages constantly and get paid for it. Yet in terms of the sharing, maybe not always on point. So going back to it, yeah, it's all about getting your audience to getting the right frame of mind, ready for them, for the messages, the strong messages from the speaker, not so much actually about the speaker.
Peter, do you have, as I was saying all this, we're talking about, of course, giving value to the audience, not about the speaker, even the introduction. Why does it matter to the audience? Do you have certain phrases that you often use or say that our audience can use and say as well, or certain things like secret ninja tips?
Secret ninja tips? Yeah, well, no, I haven't got any. I wouldn't say they're secret, and I wouldn't say they're ninja tips. However, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of phrases, and again, the more you do, the more you share, the more you're on stage shaping an event for an organizer. You get into the same kind of. There are many phrases that we can use, and an audience really feel at ease. So certainly at the beginning, that first 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, if it's one day, if it's half a day, 2 days, or even sometimes 3 or 4 days, that moment there is the most important thing at all for me as a moderator, because that is the time I really need, or really want, I don't really need it, but I really would like it. I would like my audience there to make that judgment of me as somebody who, this guy is going to take me through these days in a good way, in a professional way. And I kind of like the guy. He knows what he's talking about, and he comes across in a professional way. And I want to listen to this guy. So the phrases I use at the beginning are really, really important. Phrases like, let's say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to blah, 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 blah. Clearly, by the end of these 2 days together, it's really important that by the end of these 2 days, you're going to walk away with this, and this. And how are you going to do that? Well, we have got some fantastic speakers for you over the next 48 hours. We've got this. Giving your audience a flavor of why they should stick around. Okay, why should anybody stick around? Now, in a conference, in an in-person conference, they'll stick around probably the first day because they paid for it, or their company has paid for it, and they want to be there. Second day, perhaps not. We don't know. But the thing is, online, naturally, the distraction levels are much higher. We've got many different things going on, and people's time is number one. So in your intro beginning, you really need to let people know certainly online, why they should stick around. Why should somebody stay with you at this conference or at this event during the morning, or during the next 90 minutes, or even just over the next 15 minutes? Why should anybody stick around? And telling them what they're going to get, telling them why they should stay, or telling them perhaps, trying to make sense of the industry they're in, looking at ideas and hearing insights from people who are kind of trendsetters, who are kind of putting together how the industry is going to unfold. And by the end of this time together, you're going to have a better idea as to how you're going to make your decisions going forward. So those kind of phrases, getting people to feel like, okay, well, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to listen to this. I want to get something from this. And by the end of it, hopefully I'll be in a better place to make better decisions for myself, for my team, or for my company.
Okay, since you're talking about giving value to the audience, what's in it for them, basically. But what about you, or I, as the moderator? Like, how much flavor should we give for the audience? Like, how much should we share about ourselves as the moderator?
Listen, again, that comes into kind of like storytelling, where we can share more about ourselves. If we can share if we know that it's going to bring value, if we know that it's something that the audience want to see or feel, then go ahead and do that. But I wouldn't, certainly at the beginning, it's more about the content, more about what they're going to get from it, more about the speakers, more about by the end of those 2 days, 3 days, the value they're going to get. Once they're kind of with you, okay, once they're with you over the first couple of hours, you've been on stage a couple of times, then that's for me, certainly, then that's the time for me where I start to sort of show a little bit more about who I am, my personality, trying to reflect on some of the things the audience is thinking about when they see when a speaker's finished, for example. So yeah, showing more of yourself, letting people inside your world a little bit. Certainly if it's connected directly, or even maybe not directly, but it's connected with the actual event itself, then certainly go ahead and do that. What I wouldn't recommend, it's not to lean towards the idea of you being the not so much center of attention, but you being somebody somebody they really want to know about. You'll feel that as the event goes on. You'll start to feel whether the audience are not into you, but they want to listen more to what you have to say.
Love that. Earlier I said, Peter, secret ninja speaking tips. I forgot what I said, but Peter, I know you have some secret ninja tips that you have in there. Maybe as you were talking, I was thinking of one. Maybe I'll help you spark your mind. I forgot who told me this. This is an in-person event, and they said, okay, if you want people to talk less, do not give them the mic to hold. You hold the mic for them and put it in front of their mouths, because if they have a chance to hold the mic, they'll speak longer. Super secret ninja tip.
That is you, Kit. That is a ninja tip that should go down in the long list, the top of the list of ninja tips from Kit's ninja tips list. Right. So absolutely. So somehow when an audience member holds a microphone, they want to kind of hold on to it. So if we're, let's say, in the days gone by where we're at an event and then we pass the microphone to somebody asking a question, for example, they ask the question. Once they've asked that question, that they should be focused on the answer. And they won't even know they're still holding the mic. So they'll just hold the mic. Okay. And often, if they're feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous, perhaps, that's something to hold on to. It's a kind of something that gives them a level of comfort. So straight after when they've asked the question, my role, if I'm the person sharing the microphone, I would just give them, as they're looking at the speaker, I would then come to the side and I would put my hand out to signal that I want my mic back. and then slowly take that back. Because if you just forget and you're listening to the answer as well, what often happens is while they're listening, while that audience member is listening, they've got another question, bang, 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 another question will come up, and then they'll ask another and another, and you can't get it off them. But yeah, sometimes you really have to be brutal with the mic, because you are actually shaping that event. You really have to be on your toes. You really have to be listening. Like, unlike speaking, where we share our 20-minute keynote, for example, or however long it is, before we're prepping ourselves, we're getting in the mode, getting in the zone, getting in the right frame of mind. We deliver, we're present, and then we finish, and then we go off. And it's another world once we're off stage. Okay. As a moderator, is literally even when you're not on stage, you still have to be performing. You still have to be thinking and listening. It's more about listening. So a good moderator is a good listener, listening and observing what's going on. What's the energy in that room? What's the energy in the room from the speakers that have shared their messages prior to the next speaker on stage? What are the main messages perhaps that they've shared that maybe they didn't underline, that you can underline, or you can share? You can come back on stage and say, and refer to what you've just heard and say, I just absolutely, David, fantastic ideas he shared there. And something that stuck in my mind, something that was really, that I felt was quite, that stood out for me, was when he said, blah, 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 and I'm sure for many of you, you're feeling the same. Stop, and then you move on to the next one, something like that. So the idea is really being aware of what's going on all the time. That's a massive, a big difference from a speaker, somebody sharing their message for a certain period of time. A moderator is there for the whole day, listening, observing, trying to piece it all together, staying professional, under pressure, certainly under pressure, but trying to keep calm and make people feel safe, make people feel comfortable and ready for the next piece of information.
Yeah, I think that's basically your super secret ninja tip. It's the moderator is there for the whole day and you're working basically nonstop, even when the speakers are speaking or when whatever's happening, you're still there on the side, maybe taking notes about what they said mentally. Like I like what you're saying, great moderators are great listeners. Peter, I want to actually transition this. We were kind of talking in person with the mic and everything, but everything is moving virtually now. Is there a difference being a moderator virtually, or what have you seen that's effective virtually?
Yeah, absolutely. Many differences. And certainly for me, it took me quite a while to transition and get into the right frame of mind, because there are many things as speakers and as a moderator as well that we have to do slightly differently. Small nuances we do differently when we're in this screen, this box. Again, the biggest thing certainly is the reaction, is the feedback, is that you can sense in a room, you can kind of sense, again, that energy, when you say something or somebody says something that's perhaps, I wouldn't say funny, but it's something that maybe gets a small reaction. That small reaction from one person, two people, from a whole room, you can feel that. You can't get any of that really from this, just through the camera lens. So you really have to sort of keep going and be really focused on what you want to share. Again, keeping that level of sustaining level of energy, sustaining that level of professionalism, making sure that the right energy is being shared at the right time. So yeah, the biggest difference I would say is the feedback, is the ability to identify really what's going on. You can start to do that by looking at, for example, the chat. That gives you a good flavor. Again, trying to maybe before the event get a flavor and a tone of really what people are expecting as well. Again, virtual events today, it's one of the great strategies which really helps is, prior to the event, during the event, and post event, you can really tap into who's there, what they want, their expectations, how they feel about the event, how they feel about it, what they want, what they'd like to have. So tapping into that can really help you deliver when you're in this virtual environment.
As we're talking about like introducing speakers virtually or in person, what about the notes side of things? Do you have any tips on how to memorize either, everything that we have to do, or when speakers are speaking, notes versus not using notes?
Yeah, no, listen, it's like every time I've got notes, right? I will always have notes. How I'm doing as a moderator, shaping events for about 15 years now. Every single time I need notes. All right. However I feel about my ability, my competence level in terms of standing on a stage and doing a good job, if you take away those notes, I'm pretty sure you will get yourself into trouble. It may mean that may come in the form of a name or a title, or saying the right thing at the right time, mentioning sponsors when you need to. There are so many different parts to jigsaw pieces as part of the big puzzle that you need to remember, and it's often quite difficult because, again, pressure could be on, and you need to stay calm. So just having your notes in front of you, that really helps. So for me, it's about making these notes as sharp as I can, using keywords. I wouldn't say they're not bullet points, but they're short phrases short, snappy phrases. Often I underline them. Often I write them. So I type them out and then write them or underline areas with a different color to help me if I need to look down. I can see them straight away. Or use an iPad or maybe a screen on a mobile. That's all good. Just that, for me, certainly, I'm really comfortable with old school pen and paper behind a card, keeping that in front of me, and I've got it all there because, again, small little things, and it's happened to me. It's happened to me in the past where the screen just, a screen just went blank. It's okay. It just went blank, and it took me a bit of time to get, to press a few buttons to get it back up again. It's the same thing about a mic as well. Again, now the idea is using, as you can see right now, using my hands, using my gestures, letting people see what your hands are doing is a good thing. Again, because it helps you sound better. Vocally, you have more energy and you have more articulation when you gesture usually. So as a moderator, that makes sense to have two hands free. So having a mic wrapped around your head and just having it there is great. However, I like to use a hand mic. What does that do? Some would say, yeah, definitely, because it just gives, you just see one hand. But I make sure that one hand is almost in the center. So it's not like one hand holding the mic steady all the time and this one's moving around. It's one mic here, very steady all the time wherever I move, but this one is actually more towards the front and the center. So everything I'm doing, I do it with one hand. And again, that's not a trick, but it's something you can learn to do, and it will help you articulate even. Why do I have this mic in my hand? Again, panelists, other guests, when they have a head mics tend to, my experience, I'm sure that maybe people listening to this, maybe you've had the same experience as well, but head mics have a higher chance of screwing up. Something goes wrong with them. Something doesn't work correctly. So having a hand mic and as the moderator and being there, looking, listening while that panel discussion is going on, something happens. If something was to go wrong with the head mic, by the time perhaps somebody would come on stage and just adjust it, perhaps, or do try a few buttons if that work, the time it takes for that to be fixed could be maybe too long. So often, as a hand mic, I just put it on, it's ready. I let the crew know that it should be on. I just jump on stage, bang, and I give them the mic. I get off, and without them even knowing, they've already got another mic. They've got a mic ready. They just pull the head mic down. It's not working anyway, and then they've got the hand mic. Then I worry about how I'm going to next coming back on stage without a mic. Naturally, I would get another mic from somewhere else or work out what I do. But at the end of the day, the panel discussion, while the flow of what they're saying is really important.
Yeah, these are some great tips. I hope if you're watching this right now, you're taking a lot of notes because Peter is just giving you everything. Definitely the next time you're going to be a moderator or you want to be a moderator, use these notes because they will come in handy. Well, Peter, actually, as our time is coming down, do you have any special projects that you are working on, or actually where can people go and follow you if they want to continue this conversation?
Listen, if anyone wants to continue this conversation or get some more tips in terms of how to shape a stage or everything to do with sharing ideas on stage, again, me and Kit, we do the same job. Always been a big fan of what Kit's doing. You can follow his stuff online, great stuff. If you want to see what I'm doing, again, LinkedIn, go to LinkedIn. You can find me there, Peter Hopwood. See my face, and that's me. A few things coming up shortly, an audio bite-size course. It's more of a bite-size collection of about 35 short, as I say, bite-size ideas on how to use your voice, on really making sure that your voice works for you and not letting it not work for you. So those of you that value your voice and value how your voice can help you move forward or doing, that might be for you. That'll be ready shortly. I've got a few. I'm actually doing a virtual. I've got a virtual studio, partnering up with a virtual studio here in Croatia, and so we're looking for event organisers that are looking for a studio with a great moderator, just like me, with loads of ninja tips to really help them move forward and hit their objectives in what they want to do in terms of getting the events online. So there we have it. I'd really love to go through them, but I know we haven't got time. There's quite a few questions coming up there.
Yeah. No, I think I was asking some of these questions as I was asking you these questions. Leela had a question on memorizing, as they were, how do we memorize, and instead of, I'm sorry, I'm just reading it out loud. But any tips on memorizing what we're listening to as moderators, as opposed to having to read everything from paper, which is something that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, memorize, again, short phrases, the things that you really should not memorize, because you may slip up with them, is the names. All right, so the names, always ask the speaker, just say, can you just tell me how you pronounce your name? Even if it might seem simple, because they might say it in a different way. And it's the one thing you can get wrong easily, but it's a really simple thing to get right. So asking their names. So I wouldn't try to memorize that. Again, what they're about to share, start with what they're about to share. Start with, why should someone listen to this next speaker? He's going to share this, and this. And often, if you, as I said earlier on, if you ask a question, get them in the mood, get them in the frame of mind, and then say simply something like, the next gentleman on stage, he's going to answer that question in the best way he knows how. Or there's only really one person right now here that has the credibility and the knowledge and the experience to answer that question right for you now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 bang. And again, finish with the name. Finish with the name. Again, that's something you can tell the crew. So they already know. Often there's a jingle just before the speaker comes on. Let's say a short 5-second jingle for the speaker to come on, and then he starts. Or it might be a video, or it might be anything. I don't know. Whatever it is, by saying the name and letting the crew, letting the tech guys, your tech crew, who are the most important people in that room in terms of the you do, making sure you have a good, strong relationship with them can really help, because they're waiting for that name. They wait for the name, and then and by the sound of your voice as it goes down when you said the name, and it's also a signal for the audience to clap. Yeah, the signal for the audience to clap.
And one last question. I'm sorry. One last question is, what are some of your favorite books on speaking or people reading?
Well, some of my favorite books. Listen, right behind me now. You know what? I've got a cut. Hold on. I've got. Okay, look. I'm sure lots of people have already got this one on their bookshelf, I think. And I think it's Rachel who appeared in your session not so long ago about storytelling. I've seen that on her shelf as well. I think lots of people got that one as well. That's a really good one. There's another one here. Oh, these are fantastic. So Richard Templar, these are not really about speaking, but they'll certainly help you. They certainly help me as well, understanding more about thinking, more about people. So there's another one here. There's a whole set of them. Rules of People. Just so understanding yourself, understanding, being aware of who you are, and being aware of what people appreciate, people don't appreciate. The more, and as you get older, you get more used to that. And I would say for a moderator, the you mature, not for everyone, but the more you mature, the more you can become a stronger moderator, a person who's perhaps more calmer, more in control, and really helping audience get what they need.
That's great. I love those book covers, by the way. I love it when they have those simple book covers. They're nice.
Yeah, Richard Templar. I mean, these have been around for ages, really long time. And there's the rules of thinking, rules of people. Oh, there's another one here. Look, got another one. Look, rules of life. And they're literally. We should do a book. We should do not public speaking, but like a book review. There you go. What's this one about? Can you see? Never be too busy.
Never be too busy for books.
So yeah, there's loads of that, loads of those. Another one here, all on body language. But you know, so yeah, there we are. What's on your
Peter,
bookshelf?
I want to say thank you so much.
What's on your bookshelf, Kit?
Oh, what's
Just one book. One book. Have you got a bookshelf?
Actually, I'll show you.
Okay, pick one out. Pick one out. What one stands
all
out
my
for
wife's
you?
books. It's all my. These are not speaking books. These are some story books that I have no clue what it's about.
But they look good. They look good on that shelf.
Yeah, they look good on the shelf. I usually tell people when it comes to speaking, I really believe that, yes, reading books are good and watching YouTube is good. But at the end of the day, you know, being a good moderator or public speaking is a verb. You know, you cannot read all the books in the world and expect to become a good speaker that way. You still have to go out there and take action. That's what, you know, of course, reading books is good, but don't read too many books. Go out there.
Absolutely. There's one thing also just which reminded me that, you know, certainly for me as a speaker coach, as somebody who shares keynotes as well and stands on stages and shares my messages also, certainly I've become a better speaker through being an MC or a host or a chair. And I'll tell you why. I think that the number one thing there is when you're a moderator, when you're an MC, when you're standing on a stage, it's most of the time it's live in front of an audience. So you have to be really present. You have to be ready to accept everything that's coming at you. You have to be ready to take the rough with the smooth. You know, if something goes wrong, you're the one there people look at. You're the one they turn to kind of make sense of everything. And so unpredictability that happens on stage as an MC really can help somebody, let's say a speaker, again, maybe not too much experience, anxiety is quite high. I'm not saying you have to be an MC to speaker, but certainly that idea of approaching the unpredictable, approaching, you know, the here and now, you know, dealing with a live exchange really helps to sharing your messages on stage as a speaker, because when you've practiced it becomes your little baby, as it were, because you've got you know what you're saying, you know what you want to share, you've practiced it, you know, countless times, and you deliver it, and then that's it. But again, knowing that perhaps there's something that will maybe go wrong, something that will turn it on its head, something that will make, you know, that maybe will put you off slightly. Being an MC, all those things are coming at you all at once. So knowing, understanding, or approaching the unpredictable is a good thing, really good thing.
Yeah, basically getting uncomfortable, right? We often have to get uncomfortable to become a better speaker at the end of the day, and taking risk at the same time. Well, Peter, as we are going down to the end of our interview, I always like to say to our guests, do you have a 1-minute message that you want to share? You shared a lot of messages, but if you had a 1 minute to share, 1 minute message.
1 minute message. 1 minute message about what? about this? About what we're saying? Well, listen, okay, this is something that, you know, again, always remember this. Nobody owes you their time, right? So today we've had this exchange right now. We've had people with us. Some people have stayed to the end. Some people have maybe gone. I don't know who they are because they've gone already. But at the end of the day, nobody owes you their time. And if they give you their time to listen to you, if you're a speaker, if you're an MC, if you're doing a webinar, whatever it is, you need to give them back the value. You need to give them back, show gratitude, and give them what they want. Otherwise, they listen to you, because this world is, well, you know, it's upside down right now, and people's time more than ever is number one. And if you don't give them something that they're going to walk away with in terms of the value, then there's no point.
Amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, if
how long was that? What was that?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good, Peter. So thank you so much. And again, give Peter a follow. You can go on his LinkedIn, just type in Peter Hopwood. He is an amazing speaker, a speaker coach. If you are looking to step up your game, definitely follow Peter, because you know what they say, right? You are the 5 people that you are surrounding yourself with. So if you want to just keep on improving your speaking, you want to have great insights always in your head. Now, if you have not subscribed to the Boston Speaks YouTube channel yet, or given this video a like, I would say keep on subscribing to the Boston Speaks channel, because we'll have more interviews just like this to keep on providing value. But I want to bring Peter up one last time to say thank you so much, Peter, for giving us your thoughts, experience, and wisdom today. So thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.